Hello, you beautiful people. I'm back with another installment in my series on tactics used by narcissists and codependents to create and maintain abusive relationships. If you like what I'm doing here on this channel, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about guilt tripping. So let's start with, what is guilt tripping? Guilt tripping is a passive-aggressive form of manipulation. But before we get into that, I want to talk about what manipulation is, because I think that manipulation is one of those things that is misunderstood on a deep level by many. Manipulation isn't always this evil thing inherently, right? Manipulation, most of the time, is just an indirect way of getting your needs met. So someone who is extremely manipulative, basically they don't know how to get their needs met directly. They're indirect, they're covert about the way that they get their needs met. And most of the time, again, they don't even know that that's what they're doing. The worst of them do, but I'd say the majority don't even realize what it is that they're doing. So in guilt tripping, this person basically has some need that they need met, and instead of meeting that need themselves or asking for it directly, what they're going to do is try to make you feel guilty till the point that you give them what it is that they want. Either feel guilty or feel ashamed of yourself, and they're going to give you all kinds of reasons why you should be. So they're going to remind you, oh, you owe me this favor or this thing. Or maybe they're going to say, remember all those times that I did this for you, or when I gave you this other thing, or I've been pulling all the weight in this relationship and you haven't really done anything. I think it's time that, you actually gave back something to me. They're gonna bring up mistakes, stuff that you've done in the past that maybe hurt them, stuff that you thought maybe was already let go of or already dealt with, but they're gonna bring this stuff back again. And they're going to say, oh yeah, just like that time that you, etc., right? They might just indirectly suggest that something's wrong, but they're going to refuse to communicate with you. They're not really going to talk about it, or they're going to ignore your attempts to actually discuss the issue because they want you to feel bad at the end of the day. They think that if they can make you feel bad enough, that you will in turn do whatever it is that they want to get their needs met. In these situations, they're going to have a lack of interest in what it is that will make the situation better for themselves, because they're going to paint the whole situation in a way where you're the only person who can make it better, right? So they're stuck in a situation and you're the only person who can help. You're the only person with the power to help them or with the circumstances to help them out. So that way, if you don't help them, you're the bad guy. And this is the way that it works for the most part. In some ways, they'll try to give you the silent treatment. They'll hold back affection or communication if they're not getting exactly what it is that they want. In other forms, in other extremes, if you don't give in to the guilt tripping, you don't give them what it is that they want, sometimes these people can get very aggressive, physically even, or emotionally. This is where the threats come out, right? Okay, fine, I'm just never going to talk to you again. Or wait till this person hears about it. Or I'm going to tell our boss about this, maybe, if it's a work colleague. Or if it's a brother and sister relationship, one will say to the other one, wait till I tell mom or dad about this. Or wait till I go and I tell our friends about this thing, right? So, again, anything to make you feel self-conscious, feel guilty, feel ashamed, right? Because then in that state, they're hoping that you'll want to remove those feelings so badly. And they make the situation so that there's all these problems. It's a huge drama. It's a huge big deal. They're going to act it out dramatically, with their body language, with their facial expressions, with their actual language, with the words that they're saying. They're going to emote very strongly because they want to tap into that empathy that you have. So they want you to feel this, right? They need you to feel bad. And they make the situation where now I feel bad, and see, now you feel bad, and this is all your fault, and it's so easy. They make the the solution so easy, right? Because if you just do the thing that they're telling you to do, it's so simple. So this is why you're the jerk to them, right? This is the situation they're painting. You're the jerk if you don't do exactly what it is that they're asking you to do, because that makes you selfish. Because if you were selfless, right, then you would just do the thing that they're asking you to do, and then you'd be happy and they'd be happy and it'd be simple. But since you won't do it, right, they've now made their problem your problem, right? When for the most part, this is stuff that they need to deal with on their own. Am I saying that things are never your fault, like someone can't have a problem with you? No, of course they can't, but that's different than guilt tripping. And there's subtle things that you'll notice that make the difference, especially when that one little thing that you can do, the problem's gone, it's vanished. It wasn't even really that big of a deal, right? They overplay it. They play into this so that you build that guilt and that shame. And then the person on the other side of this, who has the guilt and the shame, they can become very resentful over time. So this ruins the relationship in multiple ways. This isn't good. So what should you do when you find yourself being guilt-tripped by somebody? Ideally, you could point it out. You could also just set clear boundaries. Boundaries is the way to do this, right? Because they're going to present a situation to you that only you can fix, right? That you are the sole one with the power, and that you have to make these choices, and then they're hurt by this, and that you should do it. So alternatively, you could just say, like, I don't feel comfortable. If I did this, I feel like it would create an unhealthy dynamic between us, right? So maybe the guilt tripper needs help with their rent, and they're like, oh, I know you have it. You could totally help me out. Like you should, after all of those times, like everything I've done for you. I think it'd be really fucked up if you chose not to help me, etc. And maybe you can help them. Maybe you actually can't help them. But a couple things you could do is, one, you could ask, well, what would you do, in a scenario where I couldn't help you? Like, what would your option be? You could say something like, I don't feel comfortable with this because I feel like in case you can't pay me back, or if something happens, that's going to affect my relationship with you, and I care about my relationship with you on a very deep level. And if this other person doesn't care about their relationship with you on that same deep level, then that says something about what place they're coming from in this relationship and in this dynamic. Because you can look for this person. If you say, hey, I don't know how I feel about this because I think that in the long term it's going to affect my relationship with you. If they immediately don't really care about that, well, that shows you that they don't really care about the relationship that they have with you. They might care about your time or your resources or your energy, but they don't care about the relationship that they have with you. So you want to be careful for this. Guilt tripping can come in many different ways. And like I said, it can come between parents and child. It can happen at the workplace. It can happen in romantic relationships. It can happen in friendships. But the cure to this is boundaries. It's to be sure in yourself. We're all trying our best, and no one wants to be a terrible person. Everyone is working from a place of good intentions to themselves. Again, some of these get warped. We can talk more about that in other episodes, but I just wanted to lay down the framework for today's topic, which is guilt tripping. So I think, again, bringing all of these tactics out into the mainstream, talking about them, making them more and more well known is going to help us all out. It's going to make it more difficult for these things to continue on the way that they are. They're everywhere. So keep an eye out, look around, see if you can find someone guilt tripping someone else. Look in your life and think of those times that you've been guilt tripped. Maybe you've done some guilt tripping and you want to self-reflect on that and think about what were those needs that you weren't getting met, that you could have avoided the guilt tripping by being more direct about what it is that you need in a healthier way. So we have a lot more to cover in this series. Thank you guys so much for following and staying tuned. I love you guys. Keep an eye out. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay blessed. Stay connected. Peace.